All right, let's get started. This is the part one of the Male Sexual Warrior Survival Arsenal Guide. My name is Dr. Angelo Isom, and I'm sharing this, my research for the past 20 years in researching about energy, healing, and male sexual health. This is part one of the series, so make sure that you also see part two. Okay, let's get started. All right, so you can see in the first slide the ankh and in hand, in one of the warrior's hand, the symbol of power and control over life and creation, and the sword. The symbolism behind the sword is that it is symbolic of sexual union between a man and a woman. And let's look at the curved part of the sword. This is the woman, represents the curvature of a woman, and the straight part of the sword symbolizes the erection and potency. And kneeling with a sword posture also serves to protect one's mate or what is valuable. So we can see that in this picture here, that there's a lot of subliminal symbolism that is inherent. All right, on the next slide we see male sexual health. We can clearly see the Roman gladiator, who was the epitome of sexual health in ancient Rome. And again, one of the things you notice is the six packs that he have, the shield, the sword. The sword is a phallic symbol. The shield is guarding his sexual energy and his proudness. And so there are a lot of similarities that's also involved in this and symbolism. And the red represents the blood and the robust energy, good blood flow. And we can see that he has this bold, fearless look on his face. All right, in the next slide we have the alpha male mindset. Let's talk a little bit about alpha male mindset. Well, this is Hannibal of Carthage and Tunisia in North Africa. Now Hannibal actually lived between 247 BC and 183 BC, was a Carthaginian statesman and a general. And he was able to hold back the invasion of Rome, and he actually went towards Rome to conquer it. And he marched over the Pyrenees Mountains and the Alp Mountains in northern Italy and defeated the Romans in a series of battles, establishing his dominance. So I'm using his picture and his accomplishment as a symbol of the male alpha mindset, and we're going to talk more about what that means. Okay, so let's define first what is a sexual warrior. Well, definition: anyone who cultivates sexual energy for the purpose of creation, art, music, science, and procreation and recreation of self, leading to a higher consciousness, success, or enlightenment, is considered to be a sexual warrior. Also, one who practices the principle of transmutation of sex towards higher goals by a process of inner alchemy, that turning of lead to gold, is also considered a sexual warrior. So you see, we all should consider ourselves as men sexual warriors. All right, now the alpha male mindset, what does it really mean? Well, it means be all you can be, but don't join the army just yet. All right, that's a little joke there. But be a warrior, not a worrier. This is called the beta male, and the alpha male is the leader, and the beta male is the worrier. Okay, so defeat is not an option for alpha male. Don't take commands, give commands, show leadership, take risks, man up on your mentality, and fight to protect what's yours. Now, all of this is done within reasons, of course, in context of a social situation, what's more appropriate. But the mindset is very important in terms of a man's sexual energy and his sexual nature. Right? And so the alpha male attributes we start with influence. That's building trust with who you're speaking to, assuming dominance, taking control in conversation, giving eye contact, especially in business, conveying confidence, showing no weakness, intimidate, put fear into your opponent if necessary, such as in a sport situation, seduce, building sexual tension and attraction, the ability to be able to take control and follow up by being able to seduce a female in that situation, hold attention, have people hang on your every word, maintain eye-to-eye contact during conversation. These are just some of the important attributes for an alpha male. El fuente de joven. This is Spanish, and it means the fountain of youth. If you know your Spanish, you probably figured that one out. Okay, the fountain of youth was the conquistador Ponce de Leon searched all over Florida in vain and never found it. But what we know today from science, the fountain of youth are considered to be hormones. That is a optimal hormonal profile. Okay, so the saying goes, search from within, my friend. It's not the years in your life that counts, but the life in your years. If only Ponce de Leon knew that, he would have been able to continue and enjoy his youth while he had it, instead of searching in vain, never finding that fountain of youth, which was already inside of him. All right, now we're going to look at some of the wisdom of different cultures. Every battle is won before it is fought. This is from Sun Tzu and his famous book, The Art of War. And so this is a wisdom here that is very important to know. It's that you are proactive and that you plan ahead, which is what an alpha male or sexual warrior would do, and to know what your options are. Okay, now, why be a sexual warrior? There are many reasons for being a sexual warrior. Just a few of them. As we know, the Codex Alimentarius agenda for depopulation of the planet is trying to limit our productive creative ability. There's a threat to male testosterone hormonal balance, and it's evolving and it needs to be checked. I'll give you a few examples. Having sex aids to maintain fertility by way of sperm count or motility. Sex reduces stress. We can see sex provides more energy. Engaging in sexual intimacy provides bear upon emotional ties with your mate. There are many good reasons. It tones us and it flushes out the prostate. And there are many good reasons why you want to be a sexual warrior. So sex also enhances testosterone and dopamine. This is the third bullet down. Good, it produces, help you to produce more higher T levels, bone, that's testosterone, bone density, improves immunity, fast recovery from injuries, lower bad cholesterol. We just have a multitude of reasons to be a sexual warrior. Okay, let's look at the economic side. Well, economic sexual warrior profile. Well, when sexual energy is applied correctly, it can produce prosperity. Now, Napoleon Hill, the author of Think and Grow Rich, defines this as the transmutation of sexual energy. There's economic empowerment, discipline with finance. So we know that the people who are the wealthiest, the most wealthiest men, are the ones who have applied their sexual energy properly, and they have cultivated a lot of sexual energy and directed in the right vein. Okay, inner alchemy of a sexual warrior. Okay, inner alchemy deals with, a little esoteric here, cultivating your sperm essence or hormonal health, leading to more chi energy, creating more desire, intent, goal seeking. So this deals with the Taoist concept and Buddhist and Taoist concept of sexual energy, how it should be applied. It is said that when you acquire more spiritual chin and accomplish it from all of the complete transmutation, so the spirit is increased by cultivating sexual energy. So the pathway follows raw sexual energy, sublimation, powerful intent, and manifestation of your goal. So this is just some of the concept that we should keep in mind. And we can see the caduceus symbol on the right and how this represents the kundalini energy as it goes up the spinal and activates all these centers and organs in the body. All right, now sex and senior citizens. Yes, sex is good for senior citizens. It gives them positive hormonal surge, which is a good reason why they should engage in sex, even though sometimes society tends to tell them, oh, you should be leveling off now, you should be very conservative. But engaging in sex with senior citizen strengthens the heart, regulates male and female hormones, increase passion and dopamine levels, which tends to drop off as you age, promotes good brain health, moods, stimulates circulation of cerebral spinal fluid. Older men enjoy sex just as younger men do. So seniors should never really stop having sex due to age. And a study found out that older men and women who have sex tend to live longer than those who do not. So it is a longevity treasure as well. All right, so here is a very famous warrior. This is Shaka Zulu, king of the Zulus. A true sexual warrior, was born in 1787, son of the Zulu chief Sanza Gohona. Okay, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. And his wife, Nandi. He had a wife named Nandi. Shaka was 26. His father died, left the throne to his son. Sehuna, Shaka was ambushed and killed Zawana, and taking leadership of the Zulus. So he came to power around 1818, and he is symbolic of a strong leader and military innovator, and would be a good representative of a sexual warrior as applied in military, as well as an alpha male. All right, so let's look at stress. We all experience stress. We live in a stressful society, and stress is definitely an enemy of a sexual warrior. A sexual warrior, or anyone that's interested in producing, improving their hormonal profile, needs to be able to control stress. Stress from divorce, work, bills, headaches, family, children, promotion. We live in a sea of stress. But a sexual warrior knows how to manage that stress and control it and not allow him to defeat him, causing him not to be able to perform sexually or direct that sexual energy into their goals, into his or her goals. Okay, let's look at the next slide. All right, so now we know that as you get older, there's a tendency for testosterone level to drop. And we know that a good level testosterone level, let's say about 800, and as we get older, it tends to drop off during the year. So this is a graph to show you that, and historically what has happened, testosterone level has been decreasing since 1945. Actually, over 100 years ago, it used to be much higher than it is today. But it's been decreasing since 1945. You can see the average testosterone level of a male was around 700. In 1987, it dropped down to somewhere less than 600. And in 2009, the average male testosterone level is about 300. So there is a problem. Okay, now most men today have less testosterone, as I said, than men from previous generation. And it seems that time is just being age. There's a generational decline not explained by age. Here again, this graph, there's a study that was done in endocrinal study in 2007 showed that recently, in 1987, based on a study of 45-71 males to 87-89, you can see what the level of testosterone. The total testosterone was 501 and the bioavailable testosterone was 237. Now, total testosterone is what your body produced. The bioavailable is what you actually can utilize and manifest. And as you can see, in 1995 and 97, that study was done, and you can see definitely the scores are going lower and lower. And then again, 2002 and 2003 to 2005, we can see that the total and the bioavailable testosterone has definitely decreased. And it's a statistical study here. Okay, so win the battle against declining testosterone. How do we do that? First, we have a war on fat. We have to control the fat. Obesity is the #1 enemy of testosterone. Then we have a war on estrogen that must be fought, and that is xenoestrogens, and we'll talk about that a little later. Carcinogens and soap and estrogen products and shampoos and cleaning products. The war on stress that we just mentioned, a slide before. Warrior is not a worrier. Okay, and then the war on man's nature itself. We need to compete. Men need to compete. They need to overcome obstacles if we're going to feel fulfilled. So this is important mindset to have for improving our testosterone profile. In modern male, complacency is definitely an enemy. All right, so the best predictor of low testosterone. Okay, you can get a cholesterol test to see if your testosterone level is at an optimal or very low level. But one of the easy ways to predict what it's doing is the waist circumference. Yep, your belly fat is more of an accurate predictor of low testosterone than age or even any other indicator. A 10-year increase in age equals a 36% increase in the odds of developing low testosterone. So we know that with age, testosterone tends to drop, but at age itself, that it is your waistline that what one should really be looking at. Okay, so a 10 centimeter increase in the waist circumference increased those odds by 75%. So increasing your waistline is like aging, increasing your age as well, and lowering indicator of low testosterone. So what are the biomarkers of, or what are biomarkers, I should say, a health benchmark of the male sexual warrior? Well, healthy prostate and sperm count, having a firm, sustainable erection in morning wood, which is the early morning erection, normal to high testosterone levels. You can see 2% free testosterone. That's the testosterone that is available to you to use, that you actually feel. Body fat range between 8 and 17. I call this the sweet zone. A BMI 18 to 25%. Having low xenoestrogen exposure, that's from chemicals that mimic estrogen. Having a positive male aptitude or attitude, good libido level, brain health, and being able to get at least 8 hours of sleep daily. This is very important to, and this is what it should look like in terms of if you have a lot of these attributes, then you know that you're pretty much on the right track when it comes to having a good, healthy sexual profile, especially that estrogen level between 25 and 50. We don't want the estrogen level to be too high. Good muscle tone is important too. So what is andropause? Well, this is the opposite, but similar to menopause, but occurs in males, and it's showing you when the androgen hormones and testosterone level when there's a reduction in it, and an increase in female hormones. All right? So we know during andropause, the men can also get hot flashes, erectile dysfunction, low libido, irritability, all the things that we mentioned earlier, and fatigue, and low levels of testosterone. So what are 5 signs? 5 signs of readiness for men and women. Let's take a look at this slide here. We know increased blood flow to the peripheral areas, especially penis, greater release of free testosterone, enhanced mood, arousal, firm erection. And for women, it would be equivalent of them having vaginal moisture. So these are the 5 signs of readiness for men and women to engage in sexual intimacy. Now we look at the male endangered species issue, or what I call domestic castration or testicular apocalypse. All right, low libido and disinterest in sex, shrinking of the penis and testicles, and that can occur with a layoff period of about 3 months of not having or engaging in any type of sexual cultivation or having intimacy. Greater chance to developing low T, more likely to have higher cortisol, this is stress hormones, and body fat. Social alienation and depression, all of these lead to domestic castration, low oxytocin, the bonding hormone, and of course erectile dysfunction issues. These are things that must be looked at and addressed and overcome. There is something called hypogonadism, and that's when the testicles themselves are, due to less cell tissue, which is a Leydig cell tissue, is not producing the sperms, and it's this dysfunction. That is a medical condition. All right, so next slide shows male complacency. I don't have a problem, do you? And we see men have accepted today more tolerant of being overweight, having too much fat on their waistline, and we already know that this is an indication there's too much estrogen in their bloodstream. The testosterone is low. Even though they may be young, it puts them into early andropause. So there are also age-related issues with male performance, as we can see here that that usually 18 is the age we know when men peak, and around 26 or 30 years old they begin to notice a slowing down of their sexual energy and drive and libido, and it may not happen to some men, but it does happen. And usually there is a 2 to 4% drop off per year after the age of 20 of the loss of the testosterone. And that doesn't have to happen, but it does happen, and it can be avoided, and we'll talk about ways that you can, strategy you can prevent that. Okay, sex-related hormones. Let's look at the hormones. We have testosterone, which is an anabolic steroid, which causes growth, muscles, and tissue. And testosterone is 20-40 times more than what a woman produces in a man. Okay, then we have estrogen. Men also produce estrogen and progesterone. And I should say that progesterone is a non-feminizing, has a non-feminizing effect, and is actually good for men. And it can actually boost testosterone level as well. And the estrogen is non-anabolic. Prolactin, the milk-secreting hormones. Men do have milk-secreting hormones. Oxytocin, that's what happens when you fall in love and you're bonding. Cortisol, the stress hormone, both men and women get that. Adrenaline, epinephrine, which is the adrenal gland. That's important for the fight and flight. You have to produce a certain degree of adrenaline even to get up out of bed and go to work. Pregnenolone, which is the master builder hormone. We have dopamine, DHEA, and we have, of course, both sexes, we have insulin. So these are hormones that are shared by both groups, male and females. It's important to know and to make sure that they're also in balance. Why estrogen? Okay, estrogen is important for men, and it prevents cardiovascular disease, it protects against the heart, same for women, helps with cognition and memory. Estradiol is involved in many body functions, bone density, sexual desire, erection, and most men don't know that. So we're not going to demonize estrogen for men and for sexuality. You do need, it's sort of like the yin and yang aspect in Chinese medicine. It would be the recharger or the yin that help you to recover. And women have more testosterone than estrogen, but compared to men, it's significantly less. Right? Aromatase, we talked earlier about the fat around the abdomen. That's an enzyme that converts a man's testosterone into estradiol before the DHT synthesis. Now, DHT is dihydrotestosterone. Dihydrotestosterone is resistant to this process of the aromatase. And dihydrotestosterone is the powerhouse of the testosterone family. Now, often that dihydrotestosterone, DHT, has been indicted as being the cause of prostate issues, gynecomastia, as male boobs, erectile, and hormonal problem. But it really isn't. It depends on if it's way out of normal level. Okay? And a mineral that's important that can help block the aromatase conversion of a man's testosterone into estrogen is zinc. All right, progesterone, the mother of all hormones. Okay, as I mentioned earlier before, it's thought of as a female hormone. For men, it's essential to preserve masculinity, and approximately 5 to 15 milligrams of progesterone is made on a continuous daily basis in the testes. And it's very important to know that it does decrease with age. So some of our problem is not that we're low testosterone, but we might be low progesterone. Right? Are you healthy enough to have sex? That's a good question. That's the first question you have to make. You have to have a certain degree of health in order to have sex. Okay, here's some linguistic interesting terms for what the penis is called in different cultures. United States, boner, morning wood. We have in Chinese, they call it the jade stalk as well. We have poko chin. We have mojo, and these are some interesting. Yoruba call it kofe. Igbo is amu, Swahili, ume, and so forth. Very interesting terms of endearment. All right, so looking at the process, what's total testosterone? We can see here that total testosterone is made up of free testosterone. It's made up of the bonded testosterone, HSBG, and albumin, which is also a form of which binds the testosterone. And HSBG has to do with the sex hormone binding globulin and exists in the blood, and it can sort of like steal the amount of available testosterone to a male. Now the last two, free testosterone and the other testosterone, the one that's albumin bonded testosterone, makes up what we call the bioavailable testosterone, which also include DHT. Okay, here's a process which goes on. The hypothalamus pituitary gonad axis. It just shows you what happens in the brain and how the hypothalamus of the brain is very important in stimulating the pituitary gland, which causes the luteinizing hormone to occur in men, which stimulates and sends a signal to the testes, and which eventually works its way down and actually causing the production of testosterone. And the opposite is true for women. We have the follicle stimulating hormones for women, which actually will eventually produce the estrogen. Medical causes of erectile dysfunction. We have neurological causes, endocrine. And if we look at this chart, we can see that vascular, by far, of all the other causes, represents 40%. So that has to do with blood flow, how blood flows to the peripheral area such as the penis. And we know that medication, high blood medication plays a role, and diabetes is the next culprit. It's really important men get control of the blood sugar level, insulin level. It accounts for 30% of the problem of erectile dysfunction. And so those are the two that we really need to pay attention to. Now we look at the reference range, total testosterone description. We have 300 to 1,050 nanograms per deciliter. And that's a good range for testosterone. For free testosterone, we have it's 5 to 21 nanograms per deciliter. And these are just some ranges to know. So if you're in the 300 or less, well, a lot of times doctors will consider that your testosterone level is low, and they may suggest that you take testosterone, what we call hormone replacement therapy. Again, we can see here another chart which shows the age range. If we look at a 25-year-old, average is 617. That's a healthy male. Free testosterone 12.3. And if you look at a 65 to 74-year-old, it's 524 and 6.9 for free testosterone. This is just a chart which shows where men are, and it's a chart, optimal chart as well. DHT, what I need to know, well, we mentioned earlier that it's dihydrotestosterone. It's responsible for most of the masculine characteristics: wide jaw, broad shoulders. Okay, very important for men. Okay, a few real good men. God only made a few real good men, and the rest of them have hair. Okay, younger women and men tend to overrate the presence of hair as a symbol of masculinity in our society. It is. But the word bald, you should know, originated from an old English word that means white. The bald eagle is not without hair on his head. And some of the most sexist men in Hollywood are bald. Cool okay, as we can see, some name and rock. So, men with what we call male pattern baldness tend to have a higher DHT levels. They have lower total testosterone, but they have more of it free circulating in their bloodstream. And this is what we call the turbocharged DHT, dihydrotestosterone. All right, that's a picture of myself practicing Qigong and DHT and free testosterone. Qigong is a good exercise that helps promote DHT and free testosterone. Testicles health. We won't get too much into this, but as the size of your testicles are important, the testicles produce 95% of testosterone in the male body. The other comes from the adrenal